And we actually have Barra Fitzgibbon on the line. Barra, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, yeah. Well, it was better than talking to the gas company somewhere in England. But anyway, these things...
Well, you won't believe it. I'm actually in Wexford in Ireland.
Oh, are you? There you go. Sorry, yeah. Okay, well, that's even better. Well, that's the great fun about doing live radio. As you know yourself, doing live theatre, and anything can happen, seat of the pants and adrenaline. Anyway, when we were kind of hoping to get through to you, I did give a little explanation about the play and how it came about. So maybe you can just give us a little bit more detail in relation to your own circumstances and the events that followed.
Yeah, of course. So March 2020 is the setting of the play, and we all remember that time, I suppose, 6 years ago, and... what started with a tickly cough for me soon became quite a dramatic experience in ICU in Lewisham Hospital in London, and that's when I went into my sort of battle with COVID, if you like, and I went into a 6-day coma, intubated, ventilated, all those kind of horrific things that, God forbid, you don't want to experience, but, came out of it well, thank goodness, and when I was in my recovery, I... wrote, and I just couldn't stop writing. I think it was probably therapy, it was probably cathartic, it was probably all that stuff, and I just wrote a huge blog of a thing with about 25 different characters and all the different types of, some of the humour that was in there, because there was humour, and as a result there's humour in the play, a lot of it, but obviously the dark stuff as well, and the difficult things and the conversations and those types of things. And then over time, I mean, at that stage, I wasn't thinking of anything about a play or anything. Yeah. But at the time, I was thinking, could there be something in this? I remember there was a consultant in ICU, a guy called Charlie, and when I woke up from the coma, he came to the side of the bed. He was very emotional, and he said to me, Barra, I don't know what it is, but I think you might have some kind of story to tell about this. And I just kind of remember those words. Yeah, it was a nice weight to carry, and actually it really helped with my healing. Anyway, so I wrote the piece, the blog, as I say, and then I brought in Catherine White. Now, Catherine White is the actor, and she is the co-writer, but she took the blog away, and she created the play, basically, and she decided to cull a lot of the characters because there's too many. We're down to about 7 characters. She plays them all because it's a one-person play, and yes, I mean, it's just fantastic. We've had it in the West End in London where it did very well. We've been up and running in the Civic now this week. There's still tickets available for tonight and tomorrow night. Yeah. But and we're sold out to Draíocht. So
you are, we're very happy. I'm hoping to be there myself on the night.
Yeah, lovely, Norm. And please come say hello. I'll be there myself.
I won't try ringing you. I'll actually try and see you in person. Anyway,
no problem.
Small joke of relief here. But I've seen it described, now maybe you mightn't say this, but as a kind of a love letter to the National Health Service. And of course, as we know, both the National Health Service and our own health services here in Ireland often come in for a lot of criticism. But in times like these, and of course, it was such a kind of a sidewinder for both these health services when you get hit with this kind of a pandemic, because it was actually, in a way, if you want to call it a plague. And I know in some of the writing, like about the Black Death, the Spanish flu, cholera, I mean, they've swept across the world in different times. But it takes a lot for a health service to kind of step in and organise themselves. And even then with this illness, and I think you might have touched upon it yourself, like, I mean, they weren't really 100% what it was about, like, and how they were going to treat it.
Well, they had no clue.
Yeah.
They had no clue. And, and we sort of were all clueless together in a way. They were like saying, Barra, look, we're going to try this and we're going to try that. That's where they were at within that, especially that first week, in the UK. Remember, you guys had shut down. Ireland were smart. The week before the UK had, Anyway, for me, it is a love letter to the NHS. A love letter to the HSE. A love letter to all the health services across the globe. Because I think I don't want to give too much away, but there is a lovely line in the play where Catherine says, we're so good at remembering our wars, we're so good at remembering our heroes from those types of times. But when it comes to pandemics, the people who helped us during pandemics, we just forget.
Yeah.
And there's something very important about that, not to forget. And I know we want to bury the head, and I know it's a difficult time maybe perhaps for people to go back to, but if we're going to learn anything from these experiences, we have to kind of be able to look back and celebrate a lot of humanity happened then, a lot of great connections. There are people in the ICU who are now close friends of my family. There's a character called Nurse Andrew who, we meet on a regular basis now. And there were beautiful moments of connection. And they come across, in the play.
No, go ahead,
with respect to all of those who passed on, and respect to all the horror, and there was that.
Yeah.
There was also fabulous moments of humanity, and I think it's important we try to remember those bits too.
Yeah, and as you said, like there is the characters, like the real people, I suppose, the staff, and you mentioned there, like we often forget, and that is true. Like in a time of crisis, if you have a health issue, you go into hospital, the people are there. It's their job initially, like and they maybe sort you out, like, and you come out, like, and you're very thankful. But then life intervenes, like, and you get on with it, and your memory kind of fades, I suppose, until the next time. But that's what these people do. I mean, they kind of do their job. They get through it. You mentioned there, like they had to learn fast, literally on the job.
Yeah, extraordinary. But I'm glad you said that, actually, because you know what, I haven't forgotten. And I was actually back there. I was back in Lewisham Hospital only about 4 weeks ago for another thing completely, and I decided to pop my head into ICU, and I went up, and the connection is still there, and they're saying things like, "Oh, how's the play going? Oh, it's touring Ireland. No way, that's fantastic." So we have this kind of connection and this thing that's come out of it, and they love that. They love that. And yes, they move on, and yes, it's their job. But for them to see me well, and for me to be creating something out of this, and even for me to be back on the bicycle, which I tell them that I am now, they just love that. That's their job.
Did they remind you to wear the high vis and the helmet?
Yeah. Well, do you know what? To be fair, I had the helmet under the arm when I went into it.
Yeah, well, that's okay. Well, at least you were showing that. But the other side of this as well, that, there was the positive and the negative, like, and like I said, to all stories, that's what you have, like, and it's like, sometimes again, the warts and all reveal, like, it's you have to show the full picture of the reality of it. Yeah. And I suppose again, I mean, like I said, I'm looking forward to seeing the play. You're not going to give it in terms of what's going on, because it's a one-person play. It's quite short, and it's going to be quite packed. But you have to be faithful as well to showing that it's not all, there's all different sides to it.
Absolutely, and we depict that. We got the sides from me, from my family, the medical staff, all depicted in there. So the show has a running time of just under an hour. Yeah. And in the Draíocht, we are doing a special Q&A afterwards. So
yeah. Okay.
You will have people portrayed in the play on stage straight after the play to kind of listen to questions, and we've done that in the Civic this week. Okay. And it's a super edition. It really is, because people have lots of questions off the back of this. They have lots and lots of questions. Yeah,
and the thing is, I'm just thinking back. I mean, obviously, when you bring you go back there, like when you start talking about it, the whole COVID, like, and I think it could be a terrible thing to say that people sometimes have a good COVID or a bad COVID, because when you start talking to people about that time, some people were very badly affected, and we all know the stories, obviously, like yourself, older people, and I'm becoming one of those myself now, dying in hospital without relatives, and there's other people then, they seem to kind of coast through it in a way. They were kind of they were isolated, but it didn't seem to have an impact on them as much as others. And I find that fascinating, and even thinking of my own self here, that I was fortunate enough not to actually eventually get the infection until way into the whole COVID thing.
Great, so the vaccine and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and the vaccines were out, and I suppose that was the other side of it, like when you mentioned about the health services, how they pulled together, I mean, mass vaccinations, and again, the staff that got involved in that, people came back from retirement.
Amazing.
So there was all that positive. Yeah,
and you have to remember, when I went in there was 20 patients in the ICU. Within about 4 days, there were 60, and there was no increase in staff. Increase in staff. You had A&E nurses and A&E people coming up to work in ICU to kind of just help out. It was an extraordinary time, And you're absolutely, I think at the beginning of this conversation, you mentioned how the NHS comes in for a lot of criticism. I'm sure the HSE does as well. And, when I'm in those conversations now, I have to kind of almost I have to leave the room because I have such a love connection to these human beings that I can't hear any criticism about them. It's a funny one, when I tell you what they're brilliant at, the NHS. They're brilliant at the cold face of real trouble. Yeah. I suppose what they're not great at is the preventative stuff, catching stuff early because of the waiting lists and because of all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to when you're actually really in it, it's just these human beings, and they're young. They're all in their mid-20s, late 20s. All the ICU staff I was dealing with, young people. But also just in relation to what you said about people falling ill at the time, it wasn't it was old people, but it wasn't just old people. I was 48.
Yeah, you were incredible. Your age.
I had no previous medical conditions. None.
Yeah. That's frightening in one sense as well. But anyway.
Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah. I understand it's frightening. Yeah, but I think I have a theory about COVID. I think what COVID does is it finds your weakness. So my mother suffered from pneumonia, and my grandfather suffered from pneumonia. And when I got COVID, within a day, I had double pneumonia. So I think what COVID does is it comes and finds your Achilles heel, and then it finds it and brings it in. It's quite a clever virus.
Yeah, and of course it changes as well and mutate. I mean, as you say, it learns. That's what viruses do. Like they learn when you put something up against them, they kind of go around you. But that's interesting how you identify that with your own background, your own family history, you could actually maybe put a logic on it. You can actually explain what happened to you. The other thing that comes across as well in some of just reading about the play is the positive communication can help. Is obviously we all have to communicate. We're communicating now, but just actually the positive communication. And you mentioned there yourself about taking yourself out of the story when people maybe are a bit critical about the NHS and the staff, and maybe it's the staff that sometimes you have to put the positive message out as well.
Absolutely, and the play is about the power of words and the power of communication, and that really comes across. The power of little things, the kindness of a nurse, or you're getting the willing to fight from a partner or a loved one or your kids. Those words are so important because you know what happened. Do you know what happened to me when I was in there? It's a strange thing to say, but I realised that I was kind of loved. I never thought about it before, and then I realised, crikey, there's a whole bunch of people out there who kind of love me, and I need to get my act together here and see if I can fight this thing.
Get out, yeah. And I suppose the other side of it is that, not getting into people's personal lives, but because you were there for that period of time, you do kind of maybe learn, or you hear things about maybe the staff, or you don't see them as the worker person or the job. They're more than the job. They're an actual individual. And you mentioned some of those people earlier on, like Andrew. That they're doing a very important job. They're doing it, getting on with it. But at the end of the day, they're still people. That's
right. And some of them weren't great.
Well, there you go. That's the other.
And we depict them. We depict them as well. They were complicated. They were scared out of their wits. Like, you forget. I was frightened. They were frightened, and we were having a conversation about what we didn't know. It's frightening. The only thing they knew was they had to put me into a coma to close it all down, to make the body just completely focus on trying to fight this virus. That's all they knew. And then there was conversations like, look, we're going to throw anti-AIDS virus into you. We're going to throw every antivirus thing we can think about. We're going to chuck into your body, and it's a hope. It's a hope that you'll get some reaction from it. Because I had COVID, I had double pneumonia, then I had sepsis.
God, sepsis.
Then I had some more. Then I had liver failure. So it was all kicking off dramatically.
Right.
But once I got some kind of turning on it, it did get better. Now, I got home quite quick because they were worried about me getting reinfected.
Yeah.
So I was home 72 hours after the coma, which is extraordinary. Just to be home by then. And there's no rehab, there's no catch-up, because they're all off to the next patient.
Well, the next patient. Crisis management.
Yeah, absolute crisis. So you're sort of on your own in recovery. But that was fine. I'm very lucky to have a family that looked after me, and I just stayed in bed, and I was there for about 8 months, just writing this thing, writing it. And then slowly but surely your strength does come back.
Yeah. And in terms of writing the blog, I mean, obviously it's a help because you obviously, initially when you got the illness and then what happened to you, you're in shock. I mean, it's a major event in your life, and it would kind of probably leave you wondering a lot. So in terms of writing the blog then, did that kind of, people putting it together and maybe it was a kind of a help for yourself in terms of dealing with it?
100%.
Okay.
And I think people often ask me, have you not got any PTSD from what you saw in there?
Exactly,
I saw a lot of people die and a lot of people not make it out. So, I have none of it. And I think it's all down to the writing. It's all down just to putting something on paper, and it's a real help in kind of just processing what occurred. And I was kind of angry because I remember in those early days when I got home, you're watching the TV or whatever from the bed, and I could see, Boris bloody Johnson standing up talking, and I could see the lies.
Yeah.
I could just see the lies coming, because they thought, don't panic. Everybody who's getting this is old, and I was thinking, this is nonsense. There was at least 12 people in that ward with me who were all my age.
Right.
Thinking,
okay.
They're just spinning it all out. So I I felt kind of, empowered to do something.
No, you're right. And of course, Boris himself eventually got sick, even though I think he thought at one stage he was immune from it. And of course, he had a wake-up call because, like yourself, when he realised he was so sick, and of course the staff were there, like doing their job, he thought this was like wonderful. Like, who are these people? Like, they're doing wonderful.
Exactly.
And I don't know where he is.
And I think all the people that treated him were immigrants,
which is the other.
But also, I tell you, that wound me up a little bit as well, and I'll tell you why, because Boris Johnson never touched ICU. He just went in and he got the oxygen, he bounced right back. So, and a bit of a drama.
I was going to say a comment there, but I won't say it on live radio.
We like that Boris in this country.
Well, I can give you the first two words. It's hard to. Well, let's not go there. But he kind of moved on. Just before I let you go, Barra, in terms of the Q&A, like, was that interesting, or did you find, in terms of types of questions you were asked?
Yeah, I mean, the questions vary. The questions, how did it happen? Similar to the conversation I suppose you and I have had over the last 10 minutes, But Jen so one of the main characters, my wife Jen, she's also on the stage. And of course, Catherine's on the stage. So there's lots of questions to them.
Okay.
How the writing came about, how Catherine, and don't forget, Catherine's just performed it,
of course.
7,000 words. So there's questions. The first question in the Civic made me laugh this week, and it was, how do you remember all the lines?
Well, that's the standard thing. I keep asking that myself when I go to plays. Yeah, that's true, yeah. But you're involved.
Yeah.
No, I think it actually works well for audiences as well, because not being dragged back to that time, but I think even to go to a play like this and to see it, the survival story, but even the Q&A, I think that maybe helps people as well to maybe answer some questions that they...
we got a good review this week, and it mentioned that, how the Q&A makes it kind of feel that bit more real. So, listen, I don't want to give too much away.
No, and I don't want you to give too much away, because, like I said, it's important that you go and see it yourself, as you said.
Absolutely.
So, Barra, it's been great having this conversation, and like I said, it's by all means, like, it definitely is very different, and it's great to see something like that celebrates human endeavour. And maybe, as you said yourself there earlier on about that, when you go in, like, about that feeling of being the human touch, I suppose, and it can be as little as that, like that when you're in that place, like that somebody can actually just show a bit of kindness, and that just even that human touch, and it brings it all back home, especially in the world that we're in the world at the moment, So,
absolutely, it still applies, positive, as you know, applies more than ever.
Okay, Barry, I'm going to let you go. Are you enjoying the sun in Wexford, the sunny southeast?
It's not too bad, It's a bit chilly, but it is sunny out there.
There you go.
It is sunny out there. We're enjoying ourselves.
Just before you go, I know you're playing in Draíocht this Thursday, the 8th of May, and as far as I know, the tickets are all sold. Is a play on elsewhere in the country, or...?
Yes, it is. So as I say, there's still tickets available for the Civic tonight and tomorrow night. And then we're finished at the Civic. It goes to the Draíocht on the 7th of May. And then after that, we are in Kilkenny at St. John's. Then we're in the Watergate in Kilkenny. Then we're in St. John's in the Stole. And then we're in Cork Arts. And then we wrap up in the Mermaid Arts Centre in Bray. So people just go on those respective websites, and you'll see Patient Soldier, and off you go and book your tickets. Yeah, I'd love to have you there.
Okay, we'll mention it. We'll flag it on our own on our own socials here. Barra, listen, you go away, enjoy the sun, and it's great. Breathe in that lovely fresh air down on the coast there.
I'm doing it. It's the first thing you notice when you get from London to this place is the air.
Okay, 100%. Right. Listen, thanks again.
Pleasure, and I'll see you next week.
We will meet. Yeah, okay, mind yourself. All right. Okay, that was Barra Fitzgibbon there, the writer, blogger, and then a writer, and it was put together by for that play that's going to happen across in Draíocht on the 7th of May, Thursday night, but I don't believe tickets are sold out. An inspiring story.